All right.
Hi, folks. This is James O'Keefe, captain of the Massachusetts Pirate Party, with today's Pirate News episode. Today, I'm joined by Joe. How are things going, Joe?
I can't complain. Every day it's just something new. This week, no exception, but we keep on soldiering on. We keep on doing the right thing. And how are you?
I'm doing okay. Not looking forward to the end of the weekend, but who is? So just for folks know of events that are coming up next Saturday, we're going to be marching with Extinction Rebellion. They have a whole set of protests that kicked off on the 17th and go until a week from today. So we'll be there marching from Dewey Square at 2 p.m. And we hope you'll come down. It's going to be a party, a march, and an all around good time. Additionally, our pirate conference is kicking off on October 8th. And we'd love if you want to speak at it. You have until this upcoming Friday to submit your panel or talk ideas. We have a couple lined up so far, and we'd love to hear from you. Additionally, you can also go and register. It's free, and it will be live streamed, certainly for participants, and with any luck, we'll also live stream it as it goes on. If not, we'll post the recordings when it's over. So the latest news, Joe, that you and I started talking about is Florida sending people to a vacation on the Vineyard. Where do I get to do that?
It was a political stunt to say all those Democrats don't understand immigration. They don't understand influx of people coming in constantly. Even though in my town we have gotten awards from other countries for all the people that we've taken in. I know Lowell is definitely not any exception to being a sanctuary city, and we welcome all walks of life. And so I guess it was Martha's Vineyard turn. I guess that they thought it would be funny. And instead, not only did we take two planefuls of immigrants, they've already raised $175,000 for these families. So, if they're trying to make us mad, this is send us. You're weak, you're tired, you're poor, you're hungry. We will take you, and we will share with you a better life. It's what we do. That's as old as the American dream. And so I know my family was immigrants a couple generations ago, and at some point everybody comes over here seeking the American dream. And it might seem really far away for some. I know it takes a long time, it takes a lot of effort, but you know you can reach it eventually. you know so I don't know what they're really trying to pull, trying to garnish political power by trying to make using weaponizing immigrants when they've taken all the humanity out of it and probably cost Florida more money than what it costs to send them up here, because they're going to get sued. The attorney general is already working on suing these people. So, or it was at least a attorney that was representing the families, So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, the implications of this aren't just as simple as they've come to a different state. What's the big deal? But my understanding is DHS employees went and actually gave people. They have to show up to a court and have their asylum claims reviewed, and they were giving people court locations in Seattle, which I don't it's bad enough that they would be in Florida and they'd have to appear in Seattle. And of course, if they don't appear, then, oh no, it will go in and not deal with the government will not deal with their asylum claim, and then they could be sent out of the U.S. But now they've sent them. It isn't like they set the locations in Florida and now they're in the Vineyard. That would certainly be bad. But they've sent it all around the country. I mean, that's fraud as far as I know. So hopefully a bunch of people will lose their jobs over that.
Hopefully one governor in particular. But what's really messed up about, and what really made it different, because they sent people to Washington, D.C. Here's the thing about Washington, D.C., or even if they sent it to like my city, Lowell, we have the structures in place to find temporary emergency shelter. We have the extra stockpiles of food. We could take families. We can take hundreds of families. We have it. We have the resources ready to go, and already do provide that. And there's always room for one more. What made this particular move a little bit less humanizing is they sent them to a place that wasn't ready to accept them. Now, granted, they had the kindness and generosity of all the families. They had more than enough to share, and they did just that. And that speaks to the humanity of where they sent them. Or the humanity of being in America as it is. The challenge is that they had to find emergency shelter. The sheltering part was the difficult part. The food was not. But they were able to get toys for the kids to play with, and now they're working on finding them permanent placement. So,
I mean, that's great. It's good to see both governments and individuals stepping up to help them. But my understanding is, at least in New York City and DC, they've chartered buses, and then the buses show up, let the people off, and they don't notify anyone on the other end. Hey, we're going to send these folks to you. They're going to show up at this location. They're not, so they're just leaving them to their own devices in not only a country they don't know, but in a city they don't know and have any connection to, with no support structures in place. I mean, considering one thing I find interesting is, DeSantis is all the government of Venezuela is bad. And here are people who are seeking asylum from the government of Venezuela. And as a political stunt, he's going to send them elsewhere. Wouldn't you think, as this Republican Cold Warrior, he's going to go and embrace them with open arms?
Well, what I would have to say is, one of the things that the right is always like, oh, we support the law, we support the law, we support the law. We're gonna crack down. We're gonna make sure the law of the land is correct. And yet, I think exactly what he's doing is called human trafficking. That's what that is. You are trafficking humans. So,
I look forward to seeing the case on that.
Yeah, me too. So we'll see, because he just admitted to trafficking how many people now?
Oh, it's more than the 50 or so they sent up here? There's other places.
It was 30 people that they sent to Martha's Vineyard.
Okay.
But yeah. I'd have to say that he sent them all over the place. And paid for them to go all over the place.
And it wasn't cheap. These were like chartered jets and stuff.
Right? Where it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars to fuel them up.
Well,
fuel ain't cheap.
There you go. Republican governments wasting your money.
Specifically Florida. I think this would earn him the title of Florida man.
So speaking of Republican governments, in Texas, they passed a law that would, how do I adequately explain this? So currently, we all have freedom of speech. And because of Citizens United, corporations have freedom of speech. And so newspapers have freedom of speech. And if a newspaper doesn't want to cover a story, or they don't want to interview someone, or they don't want an op-ed submitted by, oh, I don't know, Satanists, or other groups in their newspaper, they don't have to do it. They have that choice. But there's been so many attacks on Section 230 from both Democrat and Republican that the Republican Texas legislature passed a law that essentially says if you are Facebook, or I assume have a website for that matter, and someone goes and posts on there posts something that you don't want on your website, you cannot take it down. You have to leave it up. So if a Nazi posts on there, if someone posts, COVID fake news, or COVID, anti-COVID, not anti-COVID, anti-vaccine propaganda, then you have to keep it up. So this, of course, went to the courts, where the judge sided with Texas. And so then it went to the Court of Appeals, which in this case is the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas. And they, for some inexplicable reason, agreed.
They didn't give a reason, did they? They didn't give any reason why they were like, hey, we should bring this law back.
Well, what's amazing to me about it is they keep using censorship as if, like, I don't have to espouse a particular viewpoint. And if I choose not to espouse that viewpoint, I'm not censoring that viewpoint. It doesn't exist. I'm just choosing not to express that viewpoint. Governments censor, individuals, and theoretically corporations as individuals don't censor. But the law, they say, we quote from the ruling, we reject the platform's efforts to reframe their censorship as speech. It is undisputed that the platforms want to eliminate speech, not promote or protect it. And no amount of doctrinal gymnastics can turn the First Amendment's protections for free speech into protections for free censoring. Which is amazing. It's like, is spam? Is that protected speech now?
So, I mean, if you have a blog and say the whole bunch of people decide to troll you and spam anti-Semitic propaganda and be like, like the Jews caused 9/11, like what happened in Massachusetts not that long ago.
And which is false, and fuck Nazis.
But just posting crazy whatever bullshit and saying, oh, well, if you don't publish what I am spouting out of my mouth, then you're censoring me. And it's like, you have no right to being published on what I've set up for my webpage. Excuse you, no. I don't have to say anything. I can say anything I want, and I can say nothing. That is my freedom, and that's my choice. So at what point does their freedom get to infringe upon my freedoms? And as far as I know, so long as your freedoms don't mess with my freedoms, who cares? If you want to put a pineapple on top of your head and call yourself the Queen of England in the middle of the desert, go for it, buddy. Go for it. You do you. But if I build a website and you want to sue me for not allowing you to put your shit on my website, I don't need any type of you won't last 30 seconds if you play this simulator. Don't need any of that.
Well, I personally look forward to the Satanic Church going and trying to get into the hymnals or newsletters of various churches that are here, because theoretically that's the same thing, right?
We
If
should
we're going to do
encourage the
any,
sick pit. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I mean they're a corporation. They may be a nonprofit corporation, and they have a a newsletter that they distribute to all their members. Why can't the Satanists have a little blurb in that?
We should send the Satanists by plane to the governor's house in Florida just to spout out their stuff. Give him a taste of his own medicine.
I think there are Satanists in Texas and Florida already that I'm sure are licking their lips and rubbing their hands together so they can go and sue on this issue.
And going back to the Jews causing 9/11 thing, yay, August.
It's just bullshit.
I mean, it is bullshit, but apparently somebody thought that they were going to stand above Route 1, in local news, of course.
Yeah.
Go above Route 1, one of the main drags going along the beaches from north to south in Boston. This is on the northern side of Boston, up by the Square One Mall. Generally a more urban area, but there were a couple individuals that were holding a sign, and this would happen about a week ago, like the next day after our last news, and just caused a bit of a stir, as they say.
I mean, they're putting their message on public property, so it is your right to go and take that message down if you so choose.
Yeah, I don't think they lasted too long, but I mean, really, we can't really fall prey to going backwards. I mean, we can, that's literally going after a protected class because of all the things that has happened to them, and it just goes to show you that people fall down that rabbit's hole so quickly, and it's just terrible that people fall down there.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems to be that various Republicans governors seem to be falling down there. So with that, we hope that you'll tune in to us next week. And again, if you want to submit an idea for a discussion at our upcoming Pirate Conference, please do. No fascists allowed. It's our party. We choose who can be there. And then, of course, next Saturday is the Extinction Rebellion protest. We hope you'll join us for that. So as always, Joe, thank you. It's always great to talk with you.
You as well.
I look forward to this every week. And for other folks, do share, like, subscribe, and you can always find us at masspirates.org.
Howdy ho.
We're done.